If your property price doesn't increase in value, are you actually making money? Well, let's take a look at this today. Now, so today we're going to take a look at the curious question whether you are still making money even though your property price doesn't increase. So let me ask, what do you think? Will you lose or will you make money? I'll let you ponder this for a quick moment. So now I know some of you are probably thinking this, how is it possible to make money? My property price didn't even increase. Well, let me share with you. So, do you guys know him? If you do, his name is Robert Kiyosaki, and he's the famous author of this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. Right? It's one of the best selling finance books of all time. And basically, in his book, he actually talks about this amazing concept called other people's money, or OPM for short. Basically, what real estate investors do is they don't actually pay for the entire property themselves. They use other people's money to pay for them. Sounds interesting? Now, let me share with you this concept. So, imagine you bought a $1 million property today. 25% will be the down payment of $250,000. 75% will be the loan. And if you look at these two breakdowns, 25% is your money. You paid for the down payment. However, 75% is other people's money, basically the bank's money. So you did not pay for 75% of the property. And of course, we need to take into account things like the buyer's stamp duty, which is also paid by your money. So if you had the worst of luck, imagine you had the worst of luck, your property price after 5 years, it doesn't increase. So your property value after 5 years still remains at $1 million. And I'll give you the breakdown of the down payment and buyer's stamp duty already seen in the previous slide. But let's zoom in on the last segment about the loan. So imagine you took a 75% loan of a 30 years tenure at 2% interest rate. And you must take note that for loans, there's two important criteria. There is the principal and then there's the interest. Principal is other people's money. Interest is what you actually pay. So the principal, you can see that you actually use $95,000 of other people's money after 5 years. And the interest that you paid after 5 years is only $70,000. And the outstanding loan on the 5th year would be $654,033. Now, I know it might be getting a little bit confusing. Bear with me. I'll try to make this understandable, okay? So why am I sharing you all this? Basically, what I'm trying to share you, of the $1 million property, after 5 years, you only used $344,963 of your money to actually own it. So why is this important? Now let's take a look. Your sales proceeds on the 5th year, assuming you really had the worst of luck, minus your outstanding loan of $654,033, you get a sales proceeds of $345,967. So did you lose money? Well, let's take a look. Your net gain and loss is actually $1,004. Basically, you had a gain of $1,000 even though your property price didn't increase. And this is why real estate is such a great store of value and why a lot of wealthy people own real estate. Now, even if you just factor in inflation, okay, what do I mean? Is because that in the scenario that we previously discussed, it was basically a zoomed in scenario. I didn't factor in any other thing. But what happens usually is that inflation will kick in and it does affect property prices. So let's see what inflation does to property prices. So same scenario, imagine you bought a $1 million property, 25% is your down payment, 75% is your loan, and of course you have to pay the buyer's stamp duty. Now, if we assume an inflation of 2.5% per year for the next 5 years, your property value will increase to $1,125,000. Now, all the other calculations remain the same. The total money that you put in is $344,963,000. Now, let's take a look. Your sales proceeds will be $470,967 in this scenario when inflation kicks in, and your net gain is actually $126,004. Isn't this amazing? Inflation alone caused your property to appreciate and you resulted in a net gain in profits. Now, what's your ROI? Your ROI is actually 36.5% just purely on inflation. And this is why the rich people are able to constantly preserve and grow their wealth, because they put it in assets that actually help to reduce the effect of inflation and in fact benefits from inflation itself. Thank you so much for watching this video. Now, if you've learned something new today, do me a favor, go on down, hit that like button and share this with someone who's going to benefit. My name is Ian and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.